Hey hoodies, welcome back to the Hood Table one more again. Good morning and happy Friday. I hope you guys are having a wonderful morning and a great start to your weekend, especially those who are down there in the Vegas area from the B sector. I hope you guys have a fun weekend, a safe weekend, and I hope we get a lot of footage. But anyway, this is your back with another update for some local breaking news of a story that we have been following for like the last week or so. A sixth person has been arrested in the murder of a 64-year-old man in Omaha from last week. 16-year-old, his name is Dejon Tisworth Hunt. He is again the sixth person to be arrested in connection with the August 13th killing of Mursal Jama. He is charged as an adult and faces charges of first-degree murder, robbery, and use of a firearm to commit a felony. The six arrestees range in age from 11 to 17. Three others are charged as adults. Joseph Keys, 14, Taylor Wilson, 16, and Trenton Tisworth Hunt, 17. An 11-year-old boy and a 13-year-old boy face identical charges in juvenile court, as Nebraska law prohibits the prosecution of youth under 14 in adult court. Dejon Tisworth Hunt and Trenton Tisworth Hunt share a father, according to court documents. Prosecutors said Jama was returning home to the Camelot Apartments after a shift as an Uber driver shortly before midnight on August 13th when he was ambushed in a garage by six boys who attempted to steal his car. A scuffle ensued and Jama was shot in the stomach before the boys allegedly fled in his black Kia. So we're going to share this news story right here real quick, and I'm going to hit mute.
And that breaking news comes from Omaha police. They say they've arrested a sixth suspect in a homicide investigation. 16-year-old boy faces criminal homicide, robbery, and weapons charges. Unclear if prosecutors will charge him as an adult.
He is one of six boys taken into custody in connection with the death of Mursal Jama. That was near 94th and Katy Court just over a week ago. The boys range in age from 11 to 17 years old. Three of them are charged as adults. And you can see all of our coverage of their arrests, the calls for kids younger than 13 to be detained when they are charged for serious crimes, and more right now on our KETV mobile.
So that is just a short news clip, you guys, on the 16 that has been charged. Now, some of y'all who might not have been following this story, I'm going to play this other video clip so that you can know what happened before this sixth person was charged, because we have been covering it, but some of you guys might have missed my coverage, and some of you guys don't really care too much for what's going on in my neck of the woods if you're not from here. And that's not no shade to anybody, because, we all, sometimes we all in this little bubble. And unless something is like really, really trending on world news, sometimes we don't pay attention to other areas. So, no shade there. But I'm going to share this video because, as we said, the sixth person was arrested. At first, it was 4 people who were arrested. I'm sorry, 5 people who were arrested, 3 teens, and then the 2 that were underage, the 11-year-old and the 13-year-old. And as you know, they have a long record. Most of them have a long track record. They from robbery to carjacking, burglaries, things like that, and now murder. The 11-year-old was just in court 14 days before the murder. And the judge, as we talked about on my last update, the judge had at that time was like, he's underage, he's only 11. We can't put him in jail. We can't put him in the center. He's too young. I'm not sending him nowhere like that. And he said his court date is in like 20 days. And he said in 20 days, this will let me know, what other actions, we can possibly take with this boy if he does anything else within the next 20 days before his court date. And 14 days later, he was charged with the others in murder and a carjacking and a robbery at a local gas station, all in the same night. So let me go ahead and go on mute so you can hear the previous news story.
Well, Cordesia, these kids were supposed to be getting ready for the start of the school year. Now they're facing life in prison, and if convicted for the murder of 64-year-old Uber driver who was just parking in his garage with shackles around his wrist and waist. Joseph Keys, just 14, was the first to appear in court Friday. He faces 6 felonies, the most serious being first-degree murder. Moments later, Trenton Tisworth Hunt, 17 years old, would be in that same chair. He faces 7 felonies. The additional charge is unlawful possession of a firearm by a prohibited person. Titsworth has been on probation since May of this year.
This defendant has a prior conviction for theft by receiving.
It's a similar story for Talon Wilson, the 5th person to be arrested in this case. He was detained 2 days after the shooting. He also faces the same 7 felonies as Titsworth. Wilson has been on probation since February and admitted he was on the run.
Mr. Wilson was then detained 2 days later. He had a firearm. He was also on video at that quick trip.
All are being held without bond. Prosecutors mapped out the movements of the minors. It starts Tuesday night when a crew of 6 ran up to 2 victims trying to take their car, but only getting away with a wallet and some money. The attack caught on camera. An hour later, gunfire. Prosecutors say 64-year-old Mursal Jama was sitting in his garage near 93rd and Katy after his shift as an Uber driver. That's when the teens carjacked Jama and shot him in the stomach. He later died. 2 other teens, one 11, the other 13, are facing similar charges in juvenile court.
What does an 11-year-old have to do hanging out with a 17-year-old or a 16-year-old?
It is an odd group, and when you think about the different ages of the individuals involved, and it's kind of that group mentality. Obviously, there's a lack of any kind of supervision.
And law enforcement are still working to locate that 6th suspect. Back to you.
All right, you guys. So hopefully some of you guys who, might have not been in the loop of what's been going on here locally in my neck of the woods, you get a clearer picture from that. So about a week ago, it was on the 13th, and late at night, some boys, 6 of them, was at a gas station. They were trying to rob people in the parking lot. They were trying to carjack some guy. They managed to get somebody's wallet. And then, most of them had guns. They said like 4 or 5 of them had guns, including the 11-year-old. And then later on that night, that's when they ended up at the apartment complex of the 64-year-old man. And they was trying to carjack his car. And they ended up shooting him in the stomach where he passed away. And they did get away with his car. Now, as y'all heard me say before, later on into the night, early into the next morning, the boys with the stolen car ended up over south. And they tried to get in this party, which I'm sure they tried to do, to basically get some type of alibi. So they tried to get in this party that was going on, but the people in the home was like, "We don't know y'all. What are y'all doing here?" They didn't recognize him. And I'm probably thinking that the area they were in South Omaha, from the street number that they said, was probably over by the Latinos and Mexicans, and these guys are black, and they're running up over there. Now, don't quote me, I might be wrong, but that is a largely populated area for Latinos and Mexicans. So I'm assuming, they were like, "What y'all doing here? Get away." So they ended up calling the cops. The cops ended up catching some right away, and then they had to chase others. And so those were the ones that was arrested last week. It was 5 of them. They were arrested, 3 of them teenagers, one of them 11, one of them 13. They were looking for the 6th person, the sixth one, and they just caught him yesterday. So that'll catch you up on everything that's been going on now. And also, I'm going to show you this next story. It's only about a couple of minutes long, but now people are advocating in our community because there are people who are outraged, including the police organization. Y'all heard me talk about that the other day. They were really upset that 11-year-old was let go 14 days before this murder. They were upset, and a lot of people in our community are upset. And they're like, "Where are these parents? Who's looking after these kids? Should their parents receive penalties for this? Should they be charged, for these kids running around in the middle of the night?" And like I said, the rap sheet on the 11-year-old, they all have, something in their past. But the 11-year-old, he was facing felonies before the murder. He had like 4 or 5 felonies already and was in court 14 days before the murder with all those felonies. And the judge said, "I can't lock him up." So, yes, people are advocating for stricter laws for children who are really, really young, juveniles who are out here doing very serious crimes. So we're going to turn to that news story real quick, and let me hit mute.
A prayer walk in memory of the victim, Mursal Jama, just wrapped up. Maddie Augustine is there and begins our team coverage with a call to end the violence. Maddie?
Cornelia, that prayer walk was small, but participants say it's still important to honor Mursal Jama's life. And it's a loss of life community advocates and the Omaha Police Officers Association say was tragic and senseless. And both have ideas on how to address the issue.
What we're doing is not working. These violent felonies are continuing to rise.
It's a common reaction.
What has been done in the past has not prevented these things from happening.
When it comes to addressing juvenile crime, advocates say something needs to change. Currently, Nebraska law does not allow for juveniles under the age of 13 to be detained, even for violent crimes like homicide. And president of the Omaha Police Officers Association, Patrick Dempsey, says it needs to be reworked.
So we can at least incarcerate juveniles age 12 and 13 who are involved in homicides.
Dempsey says currently more than 30 juveniles have 4 or more felony charges.
The numbers don't add up, and we need a change.
Dempsey says the support structure offered to families should also be looked at.
And it doesn't just stop at the juvenile, it starts at the family. Giving the parents the resources they need, giving them the counseling they need, pointing them in the right direction so that these kids do have a safe home to live in.
And that's something local nonprofits like U-Turn and the North Omaha Community Partnership agree with, saying a new approach needs to be taken, one that focuses on the families and stabilizes their homes.
People that are actually going into the homes and sitting down and really trying to figure out how you can help a family. 99% of the youth that we work with, when we work with their families and interact with them, they were already in the middle of a crisis. They were already experiencing trauma.
Both saying it starts by stepping in at the first signs of trouble.
We need to try to get to those young people before they become someone who is facing a murder charge.
Both U-Turn and North Omaha Community Partnership say this isn't something just nonprofits or law enforcement can fix. It takes every facet of the community, and the work needs to start now. Reporting live, Matt.
So yes, the police organization and a lot of other people, of course, in our community is very outraged because not only this isn't very, very common in our community, but it's a lot of young people who are really realizing that they can get a slap on a wrist for doing serious crimes. Like you can literally go out and murder somebody, carjack somebody, rob somebody, steal their wallet all in one night. And you can just go home to your parent. Isn't that crazy? That is just so crazy. Like they can't put an ankle monitor on nothing. Child, it's crazy. It's just so crazy. I just don't understand. And then, like they say, with these children out there, you know, we saw a couple of years ago, right? You know, the Crumbly, Ethan Crumbly. You remember he was the shooter of the school shooting in Michigan, and his parents were found legally responsible for his violent crimes. Now, they were saying that his parents, they should have heeded the warning signs or, you know, taken threats seriously, taken action, you know, get him the support that he needed. They also said that, you know, when parents are out there and they see their children acting up and cutting up, they see them doing really crazy mischief behavior, running around in the middle of the night with hoodlums or being in gangs, or, you know, they might know they got weapons or anything like that, or they might have like mental issues or, you know, very, very bad behavior. They feel like, you know what? If you notice a pattern of negligent behavior in your children, then maybe you need to go seek, at least get them help. These 11-year-old child is not running around every night through the night with a whole bunch of teenagers and their parent don't know that they're not at home. I mean, I got 2 sons and I always knew where they were. Always. They had a limited amount of friends between their cousins and their friends, their homies. There's a limited amount of places they could spend the night or that they could hang out. And I kept them in sports all year round, not just through the school year, but all year round. I kept them active and involved in, you know, things around the community, church. school, sports. You know what I'm saying? I made sure I knew where they were all the time. Now, of course, kids, they gonna slip and slide. We all have, okay? There's plenty of times where my mama, she didn't know where I was when I was doing. But, I wasn't, out there, pulling guns on people and stuff like that. But, whatever I was doing, it wasn't like to the extent of some of these kids out here. But yeah, y'all let me know how y'all feel about that. How y'all feel about these children out there running around in the middle of the night, especially the ones that are 11, 9, 10, 12, 13, and they can't lock them up. Somebody said the whole juvenile justice system needs to be gutted. They said, I keep asking, what's the consequence? And the response that I get is, there is none. It's not in the jurisdiction. They blame it on the parents, or they want to rehabilitate them. All excuses. And by the time they turn 19, they learn that they can get away with anything. Ain't that what I was just saying? It's like they do it on purpose. Ain't that what I was just saying? And that's how our kids end up going to jail where they are adults. Now, somebody said they need to start charging parents of these minors. Somebody said get the law changed and use the new youth center to house the younger ones there. If they get to go home, that does nothing. Absolutely nothing. And if they parent, then keep them in the house so that they could commit murders or robbing people or carjacking. What's going to happen when they send them back home? And the judge say, see you in 2 weeks. See you in 3 weeks at court. Child. Somebody else said it takes a village to raise a child. Yeah, it takes a village to raise a child, but it still starts at home. It still starts at home. If they're not getting what they need from home, and then we as neighbors or community say, get your ass in that house, get in there and do your homework, go do some chores, go listen to your mama. I mean, it starts at home. And trust me, I will chastise a child real quick. Shoot, my children's friends, whether it was at school, on the street, I remember pulling up on somebody and almost running up on the curb for some kids who was jumping a little kid, like a few blocks from my house. And they went to school with my sons. Like, what's wrong with you? Do I need to drag you home to your mama? Y'all out here jumping this child? Really? What happened to fight one-on-one? Now, maybe I would have just rolled past if I would have saw them just fight one-on-one. But when you jumping somebody, I'm not going to stand by. But anyway, I just wanted to update you guys on this breaking story, a story that a lot of people have been covering, ever since it happened on the 13th. But yeah, once again, a sixth boy has been arrested Thursday, which was yesterday, for first-degree murder and other felonies in connection with the slaying of 64-year-old Omaha man last week. That man, they did have a prayer walk for him and his family a few days back, and they also did a GoFundMe as well. It was like, last time I checked, they wanted 30,000, and last time I checked was up to 22,000 or something like that. So they were really close to their goal. I hope they did reach their goal, because he left behind a wife, he left behind children. They said he worked like 2-3 jobs, to care for his children. Sorry, that's my alarm. My lunch break is up. But they say he works 2-3 jobs to care for his children. And, he had a whole family, hard worker, And so, yeah, I'm really glad and thankful for the people who helped raise that money. But, yeah, Jama was pronounced dead. Excuse me. Let me go back a little bit. Prosecutor said Jama was returning home to the Camelot Apartments once again after a shift of Uber driving shortly before midnight on August 13th, when he was ambushed in his garage by 6 boys who attempted to steal his car. A scuffle ensued and Jama was shot in the stomach before the boys allegedly fled in his black Kia. They did fled in his black Kia. Flee, I should say. Jama was pronounced dead at the hospital. He was a father of 10. And the primary provider for both his family in the U.S. and his family in Somalia, where he had immigrated in 2007 to forge a better life for his children. And then to come here and be slaughtered by some juvenile delinquents. You guys, please like and share the video. Subscribe to the Hood Table if you are not already subscribed, please, and thank you very much. Also, feel free to hit the join button if you want to become a member of Hood Nation. And also, if you want to donate to the commentary or to the platform, our Cash App is $the Hood Table 402. Stay safe, be blessed, remain vigilant at all times, and always remember to keep it hood. I'm out.